VCT teams should give Veto a try on Pearl because Veto counters the double initiator comps many teams are running on the map. While watching this NRG versus G2 game, I was watching their side anchors play Mario Party on sites, try to do these half-ass floods, or die to spam because they're getting nuked off their plants, and then I thought to myself, I think Veto just counters a lot of these things the teams are relying on with these two agents. Between Fade and Tejo, you have 8 pieces of util that are usually comboed together to take sites, delay plants, or retake sites, and this can easily be countered by one Veto interceptor. Reminder that this is all theory and there are ways to play around it, but I definitely think Veto's worth trying. I decided to get a couple of my good friends to help me make this video, so shout out Noah, Angie, and Brado. Now, this clip has a lot to break down, but we'll take our time to do so that we know how effective Veto can be defending against these BXX that G2 and NRG use. G2 used 2 Tejo nukes, a Fade Tether, and a Yoru Flash, and an Astra Stun to take backhaul. Veto can place this trophy and backhaul to eat all of this util and get an advantage fight on the Yoru TPing in. If we go back and look at the exec again, you can play this a different way to account for adjustments from the other team and place a trophy close to default to eat all of the anti-flood util instead and play to frag the other people instead of the Yoru, or you can put the Veto interceptor at map and play around that area instead of playing backhaul once you notice a team is not throwing their util backhaul. You can do the same thing at A and put the trophy at a spot that will normally get nuked, like the pit area, and have a much easier time anchoring the bomb site and give yourself more room to play with. An additional part of Veto's kit is his ult.
Turn it all to dust.
He can stand and hold during these ridiculous site execs with Tejo ult, Waylay ult, whatever combo you want to think of, and really disrupt the enemy team's plan. Another use case for Veto's interceptor is to deny flood/retake util. In another example, NRG are trying to exec A but are having a tough time due to G2's flood util on site. If you look at this frame from Mata, Church and Default are getting nuked, and it forces Ethan and Mata into the open so that Giacomo can flash to the smoke and try to get a frag, and Trent ends up punishing Ethan for being out in the open. This is where Veto would have some insane value. While it's not perfect, teams could put a trophy to stop all of this util and allow them to scale normally, instead of being forced into the open where they can get caught out by good flashes and flood util from the defenders. It would have stopped this play from Giacomo where he just flashes through, like the flash would have gotten eaten and he would have just gotten laid out, to be honest. Another obvious point I think Veto can help with is helping with retakes. I think he can counter them in the same way as an exec. If you run into a free site and you don't get flooded on, you can save your interceptor for retake util, while also being ready for any plant delay. Your Veto kind of has to be on point and attentive to when the nukes are going off, or if they're trying to bait out the interceptor for the actual retake. While I think most Sentinel players feel more comfortable lurking on attack or defending on defense, I think Veto has a lot of value being with the pack on either side to contest pieces of map control that teams are burning a lot of util on with the standard Tejo and Scan Initiator comps. The example I'll use is his A main fight where NRG uses a Silva Dart to scan A main and a Tejo nuke to flush out the stairs angle that's very defender-sided. Defenders can put an interceptor here on rounds they think attackers will open A to help counter all of the normal util they would run into. You can flip this and also help with the attacking side and cancel out all the defender util that would normally be thrown at you, even if it's a different comp. One of the easier things to counter is the post-plant rounds that some of these teams rely on. The interceptor can take away a couple pieces of util that the attackers would rely on to stall the defuse and force the attackers to actually fight up instead of giving the site for free. It puts them in a bad situation versus being in a very advantaged situation where they're safe at long and they're paying post-plant, and it just simplifies the game plan a lot for the defenders and it makes you feel okay or better giving up the site in general. While you lose out on the different aspects of the KJ kit that are strong, I think that the complete denial in so many of these scenarios in the rounds that I listed above more than make up for it and offer a different, more aggressive playstyle if you want to catch any team off guard. The main differences between KJ and Veto are definitely the lack of info on Veto's part. He only has one piece of info util versus KJ having two. And then you don't really have any true stall in the KJ mollies that the teams usually rely on to add on to their Tejo stall plan. And I think that instead of playing to stall and then flood fast with all of your team, you can opt to play Veto to anchor better, have a much easier time denying any actual execs to happen, and really get in people's face. I think that this suits very aggressive teams that like getting a little bit more scrappy, and it doesn't even have to be Veto necessarily playing with the Interceptor. You can leave Yoru here playing with the Interceptor, so you have additional util. You can have set Astra Stars and other things to help the Yoru get value out of the kit, and Veto can play fast rotator instead. There's just a lot of different ways that I think are unexplored in the current meta where this agent clearly counters the double initiator comms on this map and on several other maps, to be honest, where I think teams are one rightfully afraid to experiment because experimenting means losing your job, and then two, just don't have people that can buy into the agent being new. A lot of players are quite scared because, like I said, you end up performing poorly in these matches and then you end up losing your job. And if you're playing an agent that you're not comfortable on, it obviously is not a good thing and people are not going to be willing to do it. And that even goes for coaches too. Some coaches are afraid of doing that as well. But I think to truly push the meta, you have to take these risks and be willing to experiment with new things and try to win instead of playing safe. And having a team that embraces experimentation and truly has faith in their systems and game plan will allow you to actually be a meta driver instead of a meta follower. So that's why I think Veto is pretty good on Pearl.